Good morning, I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here with Jim Cramer. We're joining you remotely this morning in our effort to do our social distancing part. And Jim, I gotta say, it's kind of weird not being at the NYSE, especially since it's closed this morning.
Yeah, I've always wondered whether there would come a day where they would try to make it with no people. And I think that you and I both know there's a terrific group of people there, and that this moment uh, makes me think that perhaps they're done. And the reason I say that is because I would like to hear someone from ICE, which really owns it, say, you know what? It's temporary and everybody keeps their job. I haven't heard that. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that yet, but I am seeing behind me that Stacey Cunningham is on CNBC, so I'm hoping that she's got some commentary on that. And as always, I do hope that we get traders on the floor because I do think that there is a historical fact to it. I think that it's this beautiful monument that stood the test of time, and I hope that even when we do figure out the coronavirus pandemic, that continues to be the case.
Well, but I keep thinking, I'm sorry, I'm just doing my stuff here. I keep thinking that someone was going to say, well, listen, the NASDAQ doesn't have people. So why should we have people? And there are others who think that, let's say I was trying to figure out where to list. I always felt that if you wanted to list in the best place, you would want to list in the New York Stock Exchange. And the reason you want to list in the New York Stock Exchange is because they're people. But maybe if the NASDAQ has, kind of a generic thing going, and the New York Stock Exchange has the bell, and the bell is obviously a thrill. I rang it, I guess, Jesus, now 2 weeks ago. That's something that is iconic. But otherwise, I don't know. I mean, I think that they're working with. They were waiting. They had two people who had the coronavirus. I imagine that they just feel like they can't practice crowd distancing, and so therefore it has to close. And I really, really wonder whether that means, well, if it works and there's no disruption, well, then why do we need them? I also know that I asked Duncan Niederauer, who used to run the New York Stock Exchange, why the heck there's such terrible illiquidity. And it's not the New York Stock Exchange that is, it's just a series of ETFs that are out there, and a belief that there's no firms make a market anymore. And it makes it so it's a very perilous place to be a buyer of stocks. I do believe, and I worked all weekend looking for stocks. There are tons to buy, just tons. But I don't like to buy up. I like to buy down. And because I like to buy down, I'm not getting my opportunity. Although I am putting in I'm suggesting a buy order right now because I think it's just worth doing.
A buy order on actionalertsplus.com.
Yeah. And what I want to do, look, I know that, look, this is the free one. The people who pay deserve what I'm doing. The people who are free, all you have to do is subscribe. I pour my heart out on this thing, and you can say, well, so what? You give it to us on Twitter. No, I don't. Or so what? Who cares what the club does? And then there are club members who write me every single day and say, thank you for giving us the information, but also thank you for protecting it. Thank you for protecting it so that they don't get something, they're not paying for something that's given away for free.
So, Jim, what's top of mind for you this morning when you look at this market?
When I look at this market, I am trying to figure out, the top of mind for me is, at what point do we start thinking about the new world? At what point do we say, okay, they're going to solve it? I'm looking right now. Again, everything's in real time. It's never been as real time as it is now. I'm reading a CEO from a biotech company who says this is not time to short American ingenuity. It's a fool's errand. We will get through this, and once we know medical stuff, people will know that the economy's roaring again. He suggested maybe be the roaring 20s, but of course then says stay safe. Everybody wants to stay safe, and so top of mind to me is, when do we decide that the elderly are who need to be protected and quarantined, but the young people, if they can get enough tests? Mark Casper is the CEO of Thermo Scientific, told me this weekend they're going to have 2 million tests this week, 5 million toward the when we get to April, middle of April. When do we get to the point where people say, you know what, I got my gold star, I've been tested. I want to go out to dinner. And in the meantime, the Treasury Secretary is getting the people who have restaurants the ability, and restaurants being, to me, just what a small business is because it's such a huge part of the economy. But service 50 million people. At what point do let's just use me as a metaphor? At what point do I say, you know what? I got Bar San Miguel open. I can keep my staff. I keep my staff anyway, but right now I don't have that loan. I can keep my staff. People who got a gold star can come in and drink. People who don't cannot come in and should be quarantined until they're better. And I'm not going to serve anyone over 60. And the answer is that can happen in a number of weeks. That's got to be the new economy. We cannot wait till everybody's better. We have to segregate those who, if they get sick, might die. We're not seeing a lot of, even in Milan, we're not seeing a lot of people under 40 who die. As a matter of fact, the numbers under 40 look a little bit less than how many people who die with the regular flu. This is a cold, not a flu. And I feel very strongly that we have to start getting back to work, getting back to entertainment, getting back to shopping, getting back to dinner. And we can do that with testing, multiple testing. We can't just shut down the economy. It's just not right. We're shutting down the economy basically to preserve older people who are dying. And so let's quarantine older people and get on with the damn thing.
I agree with you on we can't just stop the economy, but the CDC just came out last week to say that they did see an increase in 20 to 44-year-olds getting sick and being hospitalized. I mean,
well, those people tested if they get sick, then we need to flatten the curve. I'm not talking about doing anything right now. I am saying that we should have a target date where we can reopen the country. We can't just be open-ended. We have to believe that we will flatten the curve by X. They have not been able to flatten the curve yet in Italy, although we did have numbers yesterday that were better than the day before. They've not flattened the curve in Spain. I spent a huge amount of time analyzing Spain because my daughter is in Madrid. And I come back and I think that they were very lackadaisical initially, but they sure ain't lackadaisical now, given the fact that a policeman follows my daughter when she goes outside her place and makes clear that she's got to get back when she's gotten food. So I think that they've gotten the religion. Italy did not initially at all. And there were a lot of people who went to mass, for instance, and didn't practice social distancing. Though that's done. I think there are people who have, like the person who runs public health for the state of New Jersey, who literally said, you know what, everyone's going to get it. So, what's the point? I don't buy that. And I really think that an everyone's going to get it attitude makes it so that everyone's going to go party in South Beach. And that's just such a shame. We have to have people with common sense. Even Jimmy Chill would fire that person.
I agree. We got to keep common sense. We got to keep our heads on us, and we have to do our part by practicing social distancing. Jim, I want to ask you about the Fed.
Totally. I mean, I've been FaceTiming my kids, 2 or 3 times a day. I don't live with my wife right now. I feel like it's important to come to work. A lot of people feel that that's wrong, that I should just stay home. I'm not going to stay home. I want to come to work. I want to try to have as the normal part of my life, because everything else is so abnormal. I'm no different from anybody else.
And it's anxiety inducing when things are being shaken up this much. But Jim, I want to ask you about the Fed specifically because
that makes it so that you didn't buy Pepsi on Friday. You didn't, read our bulletins. You didn't get the sense that maybe if you get, oh God, treasuries, damn it. If you get the legislation, maybe you have a spike up. Now, I don't want people to have the spike up and stay as long as they are. But we did sell, we raised $55,000 on Friday when the market was good. And I think that what has to happen now is I'm looking to put that to work if we get a real hammering.
So let's talk about the Fed's unlimited QE plan. What does the average investor need to know about this plan? Because right now we're seeing a lot of Fed headlines and it might start to get convoluted for them.
Well, look, I think the Fed, every single CEO is weighing in. I'm sorry. You want me to stay close. If you're watching the call, you have to understand the reason why I do this is because when a big CEO weighs in, and there are big CEOs, I don't mind calling that, they're all weighing in with the idea of offering helpful ideas. They're not obviously giving us information. And there's someone who just now runs a company of 300,000 people gave me some ideas. So the Fed, if you had to figure out what needed to be done for all the different markets, whether it be the money market, commercial real estate market, the mortgage market, the market for what I would regard as being even stocks, whatever, which would mean credit from banks, the line of credit market to big industry, they're doing it. And what we keep hearing, it's kind of whack-a-mole. We'll hear that, oh my God, well, the real problem is commercial mortgage. Like Tom Barrett from Colony Capital put out a very reasoned note this weekend about I don't know, he throws around like a $2 trillion number of commercial real estate. Everything's $2 trillion. And I come back and I say, well, you know what? The Fed responds. The Fed says you're fine. And they want you to go about leading your life and doing what you're doing, but they cannot create demand. And that's why I keep saying we have to have a deadline where we are back. And we are not back if we just, to me, say, let's wait. Let's keep waiting. Let's hope and let's wait. No, that's not the way we need to think. What we need to think is we're going to be back in some form or another. So let's keep it together while we're back. Have forbearance. Don't demand that, your rent. If I have a couple tenants, right? And I hope they pay. I want them to pay. Every tenant, every landlord wants people to pay. If they have a special circumstance where they lost their job or something, well, I'm not Scrooge. You got to we do need another one. Jeez, we do need to do something that is bugging the heck out of me, which is we need to have a president. Really, we need to have a president who very calmly, not like attacking that reporter, very calmly says, "Okay, look, I was in real estate." And then instead of just asking, the reporter's endlessly asking about his business. I don't really care. I'm waiting for him to say he didn't go bankrupt 3 times in casinos. What we really want is we want something which just says, okay, we're going to solve this. It's going to be not that long until we solve it. So why doesn't everybody forbear as much as they can? And if they can't, we're going to have a small business. Don't do it for big business. We're going to have a small business loan that is going to be put in your pocket, and you will be able to survive so that when we get to the other side, not if, but when, you'll be in business. And that's what's needed. And sometimes I feel like Secretary Mnuchin can do it. Sometimes I think there might have to be a new commission because everyone's so busy. But we cannot just say, all right, my business, my kids have sold it, and my kids run the business. And, the press conferences are just awful. They're awful. And then, Dr. Fauci come up and make you feel like it's okay, not great, and that the different drugs may be good, not good. So, you end up with just total despair. And total despair cannot run this country. And the more I hear about the love for the totalitarian society of China, the more I want to throw up. But let's go to the let's go to the paid video, okay?
Okay, Jim. All right, guys, we are going to head on over to our Action Alerts Plus daily rundown show over on actionalertsplus.com. I'm going to ask Jim about the Senate bill over there, so you're going to want to tune in. Thanks for joining us all today. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you tomorrow.